Got the crate digger soul, got the sample in the loop. Dropping heavy truth for the whole entire troop. Some folks make it complex, a theological maze. We just cut through the fog in the modern day haze. On simply put, we make the crooked path straight so everybody eats. Pull a seat up to the plate. It's the podcast with Kaz, you can press that play. Yeah, simply put with Kaz, lighten up your day.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Simply Put podcast with Kaz, the show where we have real conversations, honest truth, and meaningful discussions about faith, life, relationships, and everything in between. I'm your host, Kaz, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or catching clips on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, thank you for spending part of your day with us. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who could use it. The goal of this podcast is simple: to create a place where people from all walks of life can sit down, share their stories, challenge one another, and have the kinds of conversations we don't have nearly enough anymore. Today's guest is someone many of you guys know as Jonas The Mad Hatter. He's an active duty United States Marine, a former Marine Corps drill instructor, and a husband, a father, and someone who's experienced both incredible victories and some incredibly difficult seasons in his life. His experiences have shaped the way that he approaches leadership, family, resilience, grief, and mental health, and I'm excited for all of us to hear about his perspectives. Today we're going to dive into relationships and marriage, parenting, mental health, grief and loss, military life, and the lessons that come from facing life's biggest challenges head on. Now, if you're new here, this isn't just an interview. I'm not interested in rehearsed answers or sound bites. This is simply two people sitting down for an authentic conversation. We may laugh, we may disagree, we may even get serious. But whether the conversation goes good, bad, or indifferent, we're going to let it happen naturally. So with that said, Jonas, my brother, welcome to the Simply Put podcast with Kaz. It's an honor to have you here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me over here, and always a pleasure talking with a friend. So, today's conversation, we're going to be talking about relationships, parenting. Oh my gosh, about parenting, grief and mental health. It's going to get really deep. So, let's
Can't
talk
wait,
about
man.
it.
Can't wait. All right, Jonas, for the people who are meeting you for the first time today, who is Jonas the Mad Hatter?
All right, so I'm an active duty Marine that been in for 15 years, going into 16. Served as a drill instructor from 2018 to 2021 at MCRD San Diego. I am currently a content creator that create content about entry-level training. Initially, it was to keep in touch with the recruits that I had because I didn't have any other social medias. And then it started to evolve into other people, other veterans. They were sharing their stories, so I would share their stories, and it started to become like a hub for people to share their stories. And that also started to grow as other people, police, people that were interested in the Marine Corps, and now there is a group of parents that are also interested to know. It's not the only content that I do make. I also make other content that's called the Mad Hatter Tea Party, which is, if I see something that's kind of messed up, well, you make those corrections, right? As Marines, they always told us, like, hey, make those corrections, even if they're hard, make those corrections. And sometimes, it's either someone that's saying something very wild on social media, or people that are trying to deceive other people, and, you just let other people know, like, hey, be aware about these certain actions or these type of people that are trying to take advantage of you people that are, good-willed. In addition to that, I also am a volunteer for Irreverent Warriors, representing. I also manage their TikTok social media account and create a lot of their video content and editing. And I've been doing that for the last 2 or 3 years. So I've been also as well doing that. And among other things that we'll be discussing here on the podcast. Short and dry, that's pretty much.
You're a man of many talents, Jonas. Man of many, many talents.
Yes.
So, if you don't mind, where did the nickname Jonas the Mad Hatter come from?
Oh, okay. So, have you ever read Alice in Wonderland?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's many things. So me as a young sergeant or more senior corporal, I'm an airframer by trade, right? And I was put in 12 Charlie or hazmat. So I dealt a lot with hazmat, as Mad Hatter's deal with Mercury, which makes him mad. Between that, kind of a short temper that had as an NCO, and in addition, if relating to the Alice in Wonderland, that the Mad Hatter didn't sing on the tone that the Queen wanted and off with his head, but she didn't cut his head, just put him in infinite tea time. And I've always been that person that goes kind of like against the grain, right? I don't really, drink the Kool-Aid that they say. I'm more of like, I'm doing like my own thing, and I'm always like questioning the status quo. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why don't we do it this other way? Which might strike some nerves with a couple people.
Yeah.
So, kind of like what Sergeant Major told me, like, hey, it's not worth dying on every hill, but I would always go fight every single battle and question everything. So that is kind of like where Mad Hatter came from my earlier Facebook days. Kind of a little bit trolling here and there, and then obviously being a hat, I was like, you know what, it just makes sense. I'm a hat. I dealt with hazmat, which makes me mad, and I always go against the grain, so it just seemed to me very, very fitting. And I just used that as a handle for TikTok back in 2018, 2019, and it just stuck. It just had a good ring to it, and we're here today. I don't
Absolutely.
think anybody else would recognize me any other way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love how you talked about going against the grain, because I think that's just who we are as Marines. Whether it be life, whether it be relationships, whether it just be navigating as a person. I think the Marine Corps really teaches Marines to really go against that grain and be unapologetic for it. And sometimes that could be both a good thing and a bad thing. So again, thank you for sharing that. I'm really glad that you brought that up. We probably will bring that up a little bit later in the show. So next question is: the person that people see online really the same person that they would meet in real life?
That is a really good question. I want to say like 80% yes. And I say 80% because there's much more than what you see as the content creator here, right? A lot of
Absolutely.
people will come and say like, hey, you know, oh, Jonas is a good person and everything. I will be the first one like, no, I'm a terrible human being. I'm a terrible human being. Because, one, like, I go back to the Bible, and then, the only person that's good is God, right? you
Absolutely.
know so I go always refer back to that. I'm just, I'll say like I'm a terrible human being, because if I put the expectations that I'm a good person, anytime that I do any sort of slip up, then guess what, people are just going to put me to the ringer, right? I will say like 80% yes. I mean, you met me in real life.
Yeah.
um I would say like 80% yes, especially like Marines. I would say like, hey, what you see here is what you get in real life. Unless like for some odd reason you are just that, turd burglar, and you're trying to like not do your job, then you're going to get that 20% that like not a
Yep.
lot of people want to know, like
Yep.
I don't want to say like that drill instructor version, but you're going to get that angrier version of myself.
Right.
But as far as like willing, trying to help out and everything else, like yes, you're gonna get that, the cool, chalant, relax, and everything else. So
Yeah.
you get what you see pretty much. Especially like if you ever enter my lives, like that you get that one, that is 100% uncut, raw. Especially when Mrs. Mad Hair comes in. If you see her come in, and you see like that interaction, that is like real life. It's not
Yeah.
a game. It's not a show. Like that's what you see.
Absolutely. And you see, you and I've actually had the privilege of knowing you both online and offline for quite a while now. And for anyone who doesn't know Jonas, or who is, new to Jonas, this man, his morals, his standards, they're the same on and off camera. While depending on the circumstances, you may get a different version of him and how he's responding to certain things. Man, Jonas, you're a great guy, and it really is a pleasure and a privilege to know you.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
I mean, so hold on. We gotta talk about how we met, like in real life, the first time, right? So,
Absolutely.
we had this event at the church where we're trying to make some fun, so we're like cooking like all these like Hispanic food, right? And Kaz was like, "Man, I really want to go and try it out." I'm like, "Dude, it's like really really good. Like you need to really come over here." But he's like, "Man, I'm working right now. Like, say less. What do you
Yeah.
want?" So I just grabbed some food and drove down where he was at and brought him a plate of food. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like how we met in real life, so
Man, those
that was pretty cool.
empanadas that you guys had were. I'm still talking about it like 3 years later, man. Those things were
uh,
absolutely gas, dude.
I'm saying that like those so what those are called pasteles, right? They're little
Hmm.
tiny things. So weeks before that, because my wife volunteered, like she was going to make that, and then she's like tells me like, "Hey babe, you're gonna help me out, right?" I'm like, "Sure. How many do we have to make?"
Voluntold.
We have to make 350 of them.
Wow.
So 2 weekends I was, pretty much, shaving off, pumpkins, plantains, like you name it, like a whole weekend just going.
Yeah.
It's I think I have some traumatic experience from it. I don't want to deal with cooking after that. So,
Been
but I'm
there, done
glad that
that, man.
everybody enjoyed the food.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it on the other side. I hope. But moving forward, man, tell us a little bit about your childhood and who had the biggest influence on you as a young man.
Ooh, so that's pretty deep, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
my childhood was not the greatest. Um, so I was originally born in Geneva, Illinois, raised until 11 years old in Aurora, Illinois, and at 11, my dad decided, hey, we're going to move to PR, right? So it was myself, my mom, my dad. We moved over there. My older brother, he's 8 years older than me, and we moved over there. And my brother decided to stay because he had a girlfriend over here. Uh, After a month that we were there, my mom passed away in an explosion. So
Wow.
that was pretty rough. Not gonna lie, it was pretty rough to go to a different environment that you don't really know that very well the language. Like, yeah, I knew basic Spanish, but I was living in the States, so why did I have to use
Right.
Spanish?
Right.
So having to learn Spanish, having to learn how to read, having to learn how to write. Not only that, just basically by yourself because now dad is a single parent, right?
Yeah.
And having to deal with that. And the kids were ruthless. Like I wasn't going to no private school or nothing. I was in the public system and I was in the barrio, man. And when I tell you those kids were ruthless, like they were ruthless. Like they would make fun of you, like ah ha ha ha. You're like, I'm going to go home to my mom. Your mom's dead, so boohoo on you, right? Like you know how kids are. They're like ruthless. So yeah, it was pretty rough, but regardless of how rough it was, like with the grief and everything that happened with that, I think like all my energy was focused in the academics to get out of the hell that I was, which was that public system. After that, I was able to go to this music school called Escuela Libre de Música, which is from seventh all the way to like 12th grade.
Okay.
From there, I was half of the school was academics, half of it was music. However, as I said, like my dad was poured into like working a lot, and as much as I want to say that my dad was there, I felt like there was a good portion of my dad that when my mom died, there was a part of my dad that he died too, in that event too. So he became very cold and very strict, very strict. And there was, usually like if there's one parent that gets very heated, there's always the other parent that'll come in and kind of like stop. There was no stopping it,
Yeah.
like, so there was, it was rough. It was rough, you know, taking some of that rage upon me. And I had to learn how to pretty much grow up on my own. Uh, The good thing is, like, I did have a good church that was there, and my cousins would always come and pick me up. So those people that I met in church, like, they basically became my family, and that's how, my wife knows them, as like that. Those are my brothers and sisters. Because like my best friend Adi, like, she's like, no shit, my sister, like, she's been there whenever my mom passed away. And then, like, later on, when my dad um, dealt with his own demons and he passed away, she was there too. So my cousin was there for a good portion of it. A lot of my friends' parents were there to fill in those gaps that were obviously were not there. So I think a lot of that is like a lot of different people from the church that came in and imposed a lot of their values, that combined with how strict my household was as well. Um, Kind of like developed the early ages of who I am. However, like, not being like a 17, 18-year old, I'm like, oh, okay, like, there's this grown man, like, no. There's a lot more to it, as far as like the people that I've met, because like after my dad passed away when I was 23 years old, he committed suicide. I was pretty much like off the rails, like off the rails completely. Um, and I think like one of the best things that has ever happened to me was me joining the Marine Corps. And I don't say it in a bad way. When I joined the Marine Corps, I was 26 or 27. I already finished my degree. I was already working as an engineer and everything else like that. But the person that you have seen 20 my 27-year-old version of myself is very different from myself that I'm right now, that I'm 40 years old. A lot of good leadership that I've had, that have had a good impact and influence of how to view life in different perspective of, those gaps that I might have had in my earlier childhood, has helped me or guided me, or in certain, situations, be there, where I don't have a dad to talk to. Like, hey, like, I'll say, like, Garner Sergeant Hiller is one of the most influential uh, men in my whole entire life. Like, when my daughter was sick and she was about to die, like, he was there, and he talked me through a lot of things. And even when I picked up as a staff NCO, I looked a lot for his guidance. Uh, Not only as a staff NCO, but as a man too. Like, even with, some of the struggles that I was dealing with my oldest, that, we'll eventually get to that point later on. Um, there's a lot of people that, that had a place into my growth, and to see like the Mad Hatter that you see here today, that I'm able to now pay it forward, and whoever needs help, hey, I think that's what I'm doing right now, is just paying it forward for all the people that have helped me out throughout my whole entire life, give me guidance, and, steer me to a way where I am right now. So
That's really awesome.
yeah, man.
I can't even begin to fathom how hard that must have been to go through. So, man,
it's
I got so
it's
much respect for you because of that, man.
it's crazy, man. Like, and here's one thing I will always remember from my childhood is when my mom died. As I said before, she died in an explosion, right? So uh, it wasn't a small explosion. It was a big ordeal in Puerto Rico. It's called like Explosión de Rio Piedra. Back in '96, there's a lot. There's 33 people that died in that explosion, plus hundreds of injured. And my dad saw my mom die. So you can only imagine how traumatic that is.
Absolutely.
Um, so with that being said, a lot of times when they say, like, when there is a parent that's missing in the household, usually it's like there's always been like this label, like, oh, well, if this ever happens, then this is where your life is going to go to. Like, you're going to be either a bad kid, or you're going to end up in prison. And I didn't want to be that kid. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be, you know, as we said like earlier, the Mad Hatter thing. Like, I didn't want to be like one of the other kids that bad habits or bad grades. Like, no, I want to focus myself more in school. I want to do this because like I felt like all that energy could go to that. And I don't know. I think it's my way how I process grieving. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
all my energy just goes in this because I don't have to deal with this other stuff. Like,
Right.
it was a good thing, and I mean, I guess it's a bad thing because I didn't process that grieving stuff. So it was like, you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do want to kind of transition a little bit towards the Marine Corps because I feel like a lot of that those younger years kind of prepared you for the Marine Corps. Um, but for somebody who had already gone through college, somebody who had already experienced so many, life experiences more so than the average person who was your age, was there ever another career path that you considered besides the Marine Corps?
So it's funny that you say that, right? Because I was already working as an engineer, uh, and I remember as the interest of joining the military happened one day that this was like I want to say 2009 whenever swine flu was like everybody was talking about swine flu, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that I wanted to take vacation to go visit my brother in Chicago. And when I told my brother that, he's like, "Yeah, come on this weekend." So I go up to my supervisor. I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go up and visit my." And they're like, "Well, yeah. So for you to do that, kind of like how we do our harp forms, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want you to do X, Y, and Z, and we want you to tell me everything what you're going to do every hour by the hour, so we can approve your vacation." I'm like,
Wow.
"What? Like
Yeah, that's
you
that's pretty
want?"
unheard of.
I'm like, you like, yes, because there's swine flu, and we gotta make sure that you have no exposure to that. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. This is very nuts to me. So I remember I got home, and I tell Steph like, hey, do you want to like you want to go to Chicago? And they're like, did they get approved? I'm like, I don't care. We're going. I paid for the plane ticket. We left that Friday night. We stayed the weekend over there in Chicago. And then on our way, we had a layover in Miami. And I remember sitting down and I'm just like thinking about, how not satisfied am about, my current job and, working with the people I'm working with, they've been doing the same thing for 10, 15 years in the same position. Like, imagine being a lance corporal for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's nuts to me. So
Yeah.
I'm just there, not very satisfied. And there is this Marine recruiter that, one, he's drunk out of his mind. He's drunk out of his mind. And then
Hooray.
I have this other guy that is coming from an oil rigger from Morocco. So those two, they are talking and they're exchanging their own experiences. And I am just there listening in envy because I'm like listening to these guys and they're not even that old, they look like they're in their 30s and they have like so much life and so much experience. And here I am at 23 and I feel like I am washing my life away. So that is kind of like what started like my itch for the military.
Yep.
Obviously when I got back to work, I was talking to my best friend Lester, and he was telling me like, yeah, I was telling him like, man, like I saw this one Marine recruiter, and he was like, well, so happens you say that, I'm actually talking to the Marines, so hey, you want to try this out? I'm like, sure, why not, right? Um, so we started going through the whole process and everything else. I got laid off later during the year because it was like the end of the fiscal year, and they needed to recover some of the money. So anybody that was working by contract, they were like, "Hey, we're just going to cut your contract." I'm like, "I just saved you $5 million off this project." They're like, "Yeah, great job, thank you so much, but we still have to save some more money. So sorry, dude, we're had to cut
Yeah.
ties with you." And that was like the worst feeling ever. And that's where I was like, you know what? I want to work in an organization where whatever commitment I give to it, I want to see that same commitment back. Not like I'm going to give, and I don't receive anything back.
Absolutely.
Um, so that's kind of like what started the train of me wanting to go join the Marine Corps. But as I'm also trying to join the Marine Corps, also throwing job applications because now Steph is pregnant with Annabella, which is my first daughter. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Trying
So
to figure
now
life out. Yeah.
the day that I have to swear in, I get a call from Allstate, and they're like, "Hey, we want to fly you into Boston for an interview." And I'm like, "This is crossroads right here. What do I do?
Yeah.
Do I say not to do that and go fly to Boston and do this interview and maybe get the job, or do I go and swear in and just call it omnis dominus?"
Yeah.
So that was the crossroads for me. I don't know what would have been if I would have gone to Massachusetts to Boston. What multiverse life I would have had in that point. But I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I am very happy with what I have right now. I have a roof for my wife and my kids. We have this nice, lovely homestead life that now, my wife so happily has created for me and her little honey to-do list projects she has for me. So I'm very satisfied and don't regret the decision that I've made and, sticking around as long as I have.
Yeah, I really think that everyone who knows you or has played any role in your journey over the last 15 years can agree that you did make the right decision.
Yeah.
But I kind of do want to flash back to boot camp, if we can. Before you were ever a hat and went back there the second time, what was going through your mind the day that you stood on those yellow footprints?
I think everybody agrees on this. That once that bus pulls up, because I went to PI, and that bus pulls up.
You just forget everything.
Well, no, not even that. Because I remember in the airport. Because I remember like we're in Atlanta. We're in Atlanta and we eat the last food, and that's like where all the other like pulleys or I guess like future recruits are coming in too, and everybody's talking and everything else, and we're getting on the airplane to go to Savannah, and everybody's talking, super excited. And we get off the plane in Savannah, and there's a couple Marines already waiting for us, and they're already like yelling at us, and we're like, "Oh, okay, like I don't feel really comfortable about this, whatever." And I'm like looking, and I'm just like trying to pay attention, trying not to mess up. And then they get us on the bus from Savannah to go to Paris Island. And as we're heading over there, oh my gosh! And the truck pulls up to the yellow footprints, and we're just already hearing the yelling and everything else, because there's a couple buses in front of us. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I really didn't have to do this. Why did I decide to do this? I left my wife and my daughter. My daughter's like 6 months. Like, why did I do this? Oh, this is a terrible idea, right? And the drill instructor got on inside the bus, and they start going crazy. And I'm like, I regret my life right now. I regret it. So, we go and we got on the yellow footprints, and that whole entire week, like I remember the first 24 hours that we didn't sleep, and getting all our stuff, and it's February, so it's cold outside. I'm like shivering because I'm grew up in Puerto Rico, so anything below 80 is cold. It's like 40 degrees outside, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why? I have no reasons to do this. Like, I did this because my boy decided that he wanted to do this. He got me into this, and he decided to quit and left me here to drive by myself.
Wow.
But you know what? I'll do this for the both of us. You know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna do this. So
That's awesome.
yeah, and PI was it was a different experience, especially being like one of the older recruits. Um, it was a reality check.
Absolutely.
Definitely
Now,
a reality check.
So what would you say was the hardest part about earning the title of Marine? And was there ever a moment in boot camp that you kind of questioned whether or not you could actually make it through?
I mean, it was like an everyday basis, brother. Everyday basis. Because, like, one, I had a huge attitude problem, right? I was not humble before. I was not. I was very, very cocky. And given like everybody that goes to boot camp are very cocky because like they're in their own right mind, they're like the alpha dog. But here I'm thinking like I'm like the ultimate alpha dog because like I have a bachelor's degree, I'm an engineer, i'm like I'm like God's gift to the world. And that was the drill instructor was like, nah. And I'm like looking at the drill instructors too, I'm like, I might be older than some of these fools, you know what, like. And
Yeah.
no, no, definitely not, man. Definitely not. And they showed me really quick to get humbled, you know, and they're like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
we don't care about where you came from or anything else like that. We don't care. You're like, huh, oh, you
Been there,
really
done
think
that,
you're
man.
having an attitude? Yeah, empty your pockets. Yeah, get on the
Yeah.
quarterdeck. Oh,
Been there, done
really?
that.
Okay. Hey, just roll left and right. We'll let the sand fleas figure that one out for you. So
Yeah.
it was definitely rough. There were times I was not physically fit before I joined the Marine Corps. Right, like I did a
Yeah.
lot of training because I was like really fat before I joined the Marine Corps. I was like 260, 270. I had to
Wow.
drop all that weight to like 195 to be able to ship out. Right, so I shipped out at 195. Um, or no, I shipped out at 192. Um, I went over there and yeah, man, like the first reality check was going up the rope. I could not go up the rope. Oh, my senior slayed me. He's like, you embarrassed me in front of the whole entire company. You cannot get like you are weak. Blah 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 blah. He was slaying me,
Hmm.
like definitely slaying me.
Been there, done that, brother. Been there, done
Yeah.
that. So I know you're still in the Marine Corps. I know it's been a while since you put your foot on that yellow footprint. But what's a lesson that maybe you learned either in boot camp or just being in the Marine Corps in general over the last 15 years that one still influences your life today, and two is something that you think that the majority of civilians just don't fully understand and can incorporate into their lives?
I think it is the appreciation of time. And to be quite honest, we sacrifice so much about it, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, but being able to like pause and like I look at myself right now. I'm 40 years old. Like right now, if I compare myself with other 40 years old, they're out there trying to go get it and try to excel in everything as much as possible. I'm at this point where I am like pumping the brakes, right? I mean, when I joined the Marine Corps, my daughter was 6 months, my oldest one. Um, just recently, this month, I celebrated her 16th birthday, right? My baby is, in a blink of an eye, here in 4 years, she's going to go be at college or maybe getting
Yeah.
wedded. Um, so being able to appreciate time, like, hey, this weekend I want to go do this. Hey, like right now, what I'm doing, like in the evenings, is like hey, working out with my kids, right? So like we have this little gym set up, and my son loves it. He absolutely loves it. Um, just giving that time back because we get so involved into like our own little stuff and everything else that we forget to be present at the moment. I
Absolutely.
think like that is one thing that I think has been showing me a lot more in the Marine Corps is like not necessarily it's taught me, but it's taken that from me that I've now come to realize like it's become super crucial and important that I be present. And it sounds crazy, like me being with social media and volunteering here and there. Uh, I guess with the tools that the Marine Corps has given me to have proper time management,
Yeah.
how to be able to like, hey, pump the brakes. Hey, my son wants to sit down and watch an anime for like 2 hours. I'm going to sit down and watch anime for 2 hours. Like, I don't need to attend this phone call right now. Or like, hey, my daughter really wants to go and watch the new Supergirl movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make this day, and we're going to have a daddy daughter day. We're going to go eat, uh, and we're going to enjoy it. Um, just being able to do that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. And That's absolutely something that I want to bring up when we get to the parenting portion of the podcast as well, is just being present and, just really giving back your time. Because I think a lot of parents kind of fail to realize just how important time really is when you invest it back to your children. But
Yes.
let's kind of fast forward a little bit in your Marine Corps career to when you became a drill instructor. Becoming a drill instructor is arguably one of the most demanding jobs in the entire Marine Corps. What made you pursue that path? Did you choose it as an SDA? Were you HISted? Tell me a little bit more about that.
The Marine Corps told me that you're going to do this. I got hit. We were on our deployment in Kuwait, and that's when I got the notification, like, hey, because I already got hit. I already put the packages in. And I'm like, okay, like I guess I'll do it. I put, I think I put security forces first because I'm like, okay, I think it'd be cool if I could go do fast team. I think that'd be cool, and a lot of people that have done it before, they're like, yeah, you could do definitely security force. So I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to do that. I think number two was MCC instructor. And then like the last one I put drill instructor. I'm like, okay, I've always thought about recruiting, and I think like I would have done a phenomenal job as a recruiter. But for some odd reason, I did not put that, and I got the last option as drill instructor to go do that.
Sucky darn.
Yeah, it was it was a crazy 3 years. I will say that, very insanely crazy.
I can
Uh,
only imagine.
yeah.
Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what drill instructor school is like without maybe divulging too many secrets?
I mean, I'll divulge all the secrets. I don't care. uh, so I will tell you, it is like going through recruit training, but now you understand the why behind it, right?
Yeah.
So you go pretty much in those 13 weeks, you will go through pretty much the whole syllabus of recruit training with some of the exercise. Like, for example, like the circuit course, like you'll do the same circuit course that the recruits do it, but you'll do like a role playing action, right? So you'll have one drill instructor or one student, they'll act as the active duty drill instructor for that exercise, and everyone else will act like recruits. And when I say they will act like recruits, they will do like what recruits will do. Some will do the exercise, some will like pass out, some will start fighting amongst each other. So they start doing these role play scenarios in it to create that stress on the drill instructor of like, what do you do in this situation? Because you still got to do the exercise, but you have a recruit that just passed out. What do you do? And you're like, tell me what you're doing. You're a sergeant of Marines. Like, do something. You're the worst
Yeah.
sergeant. You're like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. So DI school was really interesting because you got to think about like everybody that goes to become a drill instructor, you are like the top 10% of your MOS going over there, right?
Yeah.
And everybody believes like they're like the alpha dog until you go into the check-in process. And now, in less than 5 minutes that you are in there, they've given you 10 get backs. You are questioning life itself, and you are going back and you've returned back to factory settings as a recruit because like you're like I got her started. I got her started. I started. What? I got her started. Like you go back to factory settings.
Yeah.
Um, it's pretty crazy. A lot of nights, a lot of long nights. Uh, they had like these little cards called T cards that they were. I will say they were the biggest slayer that you had to prepare these little T cards and write them there, the schedule for the next day, and you had to give them to your instructor. One for a chief instructor, one for the first sergeant, and one for your squad leader, right? Or your squad instructor. So, and then after you're done, then your squad instructor will come back and say like, "Hey, they were no good, so you're gonna have to do the four for today. Plus, you owe me the four from yesterday." So now you're spending all night creating them because they're like really small and 3x5 index cards. So you're there, a little tiny smudge, no good. Something incorrectly signed, no good. If it's crooked, no good. Not legible, no good. You have to redo the whole entire stack. So by the end of week one, you are spending the whole entire weekend making these index cards and you are tired. and each
Yeah.
index card takes you roughly like in the beginning anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. So you can imagine that by the end of the week, you're not sleeping at all trying to make these T cards because you're trying to accomplish it. And then, oh, by the way, Thursday you are running your initial PFT, which you're running from DI school all the way to the PFT place where you're going to do it. So you're talking about roughly like half a mile that you're running in a platoon formation, running at 8 minutes a mile.
Just to
So
run
your
another
legs are
three
pretty.
miles.
So you're pretty cooked by the time you're going to start the PFT, and then
Yeah.
you run back, and then the Friday you have to do what are called teachbacks. And if you didn't do your due diligence or no one told you, that's going to catch you by surprise, and you're going to have to give the teachback, and you're on one side of the parade deck, and your instructor's on the other side of the parade deck, and you're screaming for your life to give the class on the position of attention, which obviously the instructor doesn't hear you. He's like, well, try it again until I hear you. And you don't have a developed voice. So by the time you're done with the first paragraph, your voice is completely gone. You are
Yeah.
squeezing everything that you can possible. So it was pretty crazy, pretty chaotic. I will tell you, like it's not for the faint of heart. It's not.
Yeah.
Is it doable? It's absolutely doable as long as you have heart and you just continue pushing forward. Just like the same way as become a Marine, you'll be just fine.
Absolutely. So, flash forward a little bit further to where you've already become a hat. You've already finished DI school. What was going through your mind as a brand new kill hat meeting your very first platoon?
Oh man, that was before we go into that, we gotta talk about RTO week, right? RTO
Mm-hmm.
week is the evaluation week. Is the week that drill or the DI students go and spend 1 week in the training company with the drill instructors. It's majorly you see is that they have the green belt and they have the soft cover, right? Usually they
Yeah.
sell it to the recruits, tell them like, no, they're drill instructors from the other coast, and they're coming over here to see how we do things over here. No, they're
Yeah.
IDI students, right?
Yeah.
And that 1 week that you spend with them, it's special for you because like the first time that you're interacting and they're like running and screaming to like whatever commands you give them. So for you, it's for you special, right? But you're in the back of the head is like, I'm only going to be here for a week, so I'm not going to have them. So now when you start that first cycle, it's like, oh, these are my recruits. Like these are mine. These are the ones that I'm going to make as Marines, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you go with the mentality, but you're still coming in on that first cycle with your fleet mentality. You're not
Yeah.
still full-fledged drill instructor mentality. So, in a certain sense, the same way how you break civilians to create that mold to become that Marine, the same sense has to happen to you too. Although DI school does a good job on that, it doesn't really click in until you are with your first team and you start to understand like what's going on, because like you revert back like, oh well, my drill instructor used to do that, so I'm going to try to do this the same thing.
Right.
And not necessarily is that the correct thing, or should you be doing that.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of growing pains on your first cycle, but it is very exciting. I was one of those people that like, hey, what do you need me to do? I'm just going to do it because like this is what I came here for. And I went with the mindset like, oh, this is like a mini deployment, so I'm not going to see my family on my first cycle and everything else. I'm going to go for that. So
Yeah.
um it was really really cool to see that, experience that, and really cool that first Saturday, the senior was like, hey, here's 2 Red Bulls. You're going to go home, enjoy some time with your family, and then I'll see you back at 1100 the next day. I'm like, what? Yes, go home. I'm like, what? We're able to go home? Like, yes. Like, this is not slavery. Like, you get time to go home. I'm like, okay, cool. I took those 2 energy drinks, drove up because I was still living in Pendleton. Oh my gosh, man. When I tell you I was so tired, I made it. I think we went to Applebee's to eat with the family, and I think I passed out in Applebee's, like as tired as I was.
Yeah.
I think they had to carry me back into like they had to carry me to the car because I was that tired.
Yeah.
So I was dead to the world, man. It was a crazy first cycle. I'm telling you that first cycle, like I had double pink eye. I had like the recruit crud. Like the recruit crud is terrible. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
nothing worse than getting hit with the recruit crud. Like I was puking, like I would be screaming and then run straight to the trash can, puke, and go back out there. I was tired. I think I lost on my first cycle. I lost maybe like 30 pounds. Like I look unrecognizable.
Yeah.
I have like a video out there that it's like the kid singing to me "Happy Birthday," and I'm like this, like I'm like a zombie, bro. I just want to sleep, bro. I
Yeah.
don't want to do this right now. And
Yeah.
I can only tell you like how much caffeine I was just pumping through my veins to just stay awake. Like it's crazy. Like you would only like sleep like 2 hours a day. Uh, but I will say like it taught me something very important is like how much can the human body actually do? Like we
Yeah.
limit ourselves mentally, but our body can perform so much.
Oh yeah.
And how much it can perform as unhealthy as being a drill instructor because you are very unhealthy.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, and looking back, obviously I've never been a drill instructor, but I have obviously gone through boot camp, and I've earned the title of Marine. And I'll tell you, man, the first time that you go home on boot leave or RA or what have you, man, that first time you can actually take a full nap. It is heavenly, man. It is almost as good as the first time you get to take a full shower without interruption.
I man, I will tell you like that first time that I slept. I mean, I have slept like maybe 10 hours straight, right?
Oh yeah,
Obviously, like later down the road, like your sleep schedule gets like completely messed up. Like it
oh
does.
yeah.
Like I'm right now diagnosed with sleep apnea and everything.
Same
Um,
here.
it's like it that duty like literally destroyed my sleeping habit. So, I mean, I'm good with 5 hours of sleep and just continue. And I mean, 5 hours is still unhealthy.
Yeah, yeah. So clearly, Marine Corps boot camp is only 13 weeks. And while the Marine Corps does have the longest training cycle, it's still really difficult to take civilians who, yeah, their intent is there, but they really don't know anything about what it means to be a Marine, and take them from moldable clay and turn them into a Marine. How difficult is that from the perspective of a drill instructor?
It's really hard, and you gotta think about it. Like the first thing is like they have to be willing, right?
Absolutely.
That's the first thing, right? They have to be willing, because it all goes into shambles if they're not willing. Um, because obviously, like as much as we want to say that drill instructors are this great, powerful being, like we still have limitations of what we can do and not do with the recruits, right?
Yeah.
So I think like the first one is how willing they are to surrender themselves, right? Um, and that's like the biggest thing, right? Like, yeah, like the first day they're all down to like, I sir, run over here, run over there, make your racks, do everything. But the real grind starts when it goes into like training day one, training day two. They start going through that. They start doing firewatch. They're getting IT. They're tired. You know, their own characteristics of what they usually do and how they respond. You're taking that away from them, right? Because
Yeah.
not only like what makes them as an individual, but now you're taking and molding their natural responses, right? Like as you mentioned before at the beginning of your podcast, right? Everybody that comes over here comes from all walks of life. Well, guess what? That's a that's a melting pot in recruit training. You got
Oh yeah.
everyone from all walks of life. You got rich kids, you got kids that come from barrio, from bad neighborhoods. You got thugs, you got guys that come from gangs. You got the most Christian kids. You got them everywhere. You got poor kids, you got rich kids. You have kids that grew up like stealing was the way to survive life. You guys
Yep.
got kids that were homeless, uh, and you have to take all those things, right? And I'm like over here like the potter, right? I have to break that vase,
Yep.
put fire on it, melt it, and creating this beautiful potter, right? And creating this beautiful vase, which is called being a United States Marine, right? And not
Absolutely.
always is this vase going to be nice and perfect, because again, like a lot of people want to believe like, okay, the drill instructor is going to change this person's life for the rest of their life, right? You do a lot. You do a lot in those 13 weeks, but it doesn't change 18 years of what they did before, right?
Right.
Because they'll always emerge. And I mean, like they always say, like, "Oh, I blame your drill instructor for that." Like, no, like you don't understand. Like, you only have a small portion, which is everlasting. Don't get me wrong; it's
Oh, yeah.
everlasting effects that you have with them. But breaking them down, and them being unison, right? In the same beat and everything else. That's why, like, we talk about drill, and they're like, "What's the purpose of drill?" Like, I don't know, but when you're on the other side and you're teaching drill of kids that don't know what's their left foot between their right foot, and all of a sudden, like, that's on week number 1, and now you're going down to week number 10, and they're
Yep.
popping sticks, and they're all synchronized at the same time without no ditties, no nothing, and they're like super tight and wire tight because they're like one single mind. Okay, now we understand what's the purpose of drill, right?
Right.
uh but that those are the type of things of the lessons learned. Like, how do you take someone that from different perspectives, right, and go and have the same incorporate, replace whatever values they have, and incorporate our core values of honor, courage, commitment. How to do we incorporate all these leadership traits and principles that, uh that us as a branch, as Marines, we're very different from everywhere else, right? We started studying and talking to them about leadership in the foundation, right? Since boot camp. When you have two Marines, one of them is going to be the leader, the other one's going to be the follower, and that's
Yep.
the way how it's always been. And we start at a very young uh stage to foster that. So it does become very difficult, and sometimes you have to get creative of how you do that. Sometimes, sometimes it's borderline unethical. I'm not saying like hazing or anything else like that, but sometimes, like, a lot of times you hear Joel Sugar say some really messed up stuff. Like, sometimes you have to say some really unethical stuff so it can click in their brain and be like, I'm being a really mess up right now. Like, I'm really gonna mess this up. Like,
Yep.
one of the stories I've always told, right? I had this one kid that, he was screwing up. I'm like, hey, like, obviously he was Latino, and I asked him like, hey, where's your mom from? And it's like, oh, my mom's from Mexico. I'm like, all right, cool. So your mom went from Mexico to over here. Like, yes. So you understand that your mom has gone through discrimination, has gone through so many struggles in a different country. So now she can bring up some Brad that doesn't want to respect her, everything else. So if you want to stain your last name, you can do that, but you're not going to stain the U.S. Marines on your name tag. So guess what? I'm just going to rip that off your camis right now. So I would grab an eyepiece scissor and go to their blouse, and now they're in tears, like, no, sir, like, I'm about to do this. Like, is this what you want? And they're like, no, sir. And they start crying. And that's when they snap out of it, like, hey, I'm being a real knucklehead, right? But
Yep.
sometimes you have kids that, don't have that they're homeless. That we're the only things that they have, the drill instructor.
Yeah.
Um, I remember having one kid like that, he was like, yeah, I'm like, so what are you going to do? Go back to mom or dad's house? Like, no. So where are you going to go back to? I'm going back to the streets. I'm like, so this is it. You're going to go back to the streets. Yes, sir. And you don't care. Where's your mom? Where's your dad? I don't have one. So we're the only men in your life. We are the only one that have been there for you. For the first time in your life, you have something good for you, and you want to give that away. You want to throw that away because you want to be a punk.
Yep.
And, that's when the tears start rolling down.
Absolutely.
Hey, maybe your parents failed you, but guess what? I'm not going to give up on you. I'm the only one here that's not giving up on you. And you want
Absolutely.
to throw that away.
I'm really glad that you brought all that up because I think it's such an important part of becoming a Marine to really be broken down. Like, Like me, my childhood wasn't perfect growing up, but I was a lot better off than a lot of my peers were. And, I kind of came into this mindset of, you know what, it is what it is. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. I'm not going to let the drill instructor get under my skin, because I know it's not personal. It's all part of the process. It is what it is, right? I thought I had it all figured out. And, I made it for the majority of boot camp without ever being broken. And then one morning, I remember my senior told me to stay back, and he said, "Hey, I want you to remake all of the racks that are messed up." "Aye, sir." So I'm going over, I'm fixing all the racks. And I remember I got to my rack, and I wanted to make sure, hey, you know what? I'm going to fix all these racks, but I want my rack to be extra tight, so where you can bounce a quarter off of it. And I remember I put my knee down, because, I'm a big guy, and these are, the bottom rack's a little bit lower to the ground. So I got on my knees so I could, really tuck it in. And as soon as my knee hit that ground, it's just like this just random wave of emotion just came out of nowhere. And I'm just sobbing in the middle of the squad bay. And my senior comes out and he's like, "Why the heck are you crying? This recruit doesn't know, sir. Why are you crying? This recruit doesn't know, sir." But looking back at it, in the moment, I was so confused about my emotions. I didn't understand why I was experiencing that. But looking back, I'm so glad that I did, because I realized that that's what it really took for me to start building onto who I truly am today. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. But
And I want to say, like, the hardest ones to break down are usually the kids that have been spoiled and pampered
yeah,
and helicopter parents. Those are the
yeah,
really hardest kids, because they don't know how to do anything. They don't know
right,
how to sweep. They don't know how to mop. Like, they don't know how to do laundry. I'm like,
yeah,
how you, like, what? What's going on? Like, who raised you, child? Like, who
right,
did this to you?
yeah,
And it's kind of cool at the end of 13 weeks when the families come by and like the moms come up and see their kids. I like the thuggish kids that always disrespected their parents. When they see their parents and they greet them like, "Good morning, ma'am." And man, the moms start crying like, wow. Like, the way how my son is looking at me with respect. He's looking to me in my eyes and calling me ma'am. Uh, and then like you have like the other parents, right? That their reaction is like, my little boy's not a boy anymore. It's he's a man. I'm like,
yeah,
"No, ma'am, that's not a man. That's a Marine. You
absolutely,
see right there? That's a Marine right there. That's not a man.
yeah,
All right. A man is what you married. All right. This is a Marine right here."
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So
So
it's crazy.
yeah. Now, before we transition into our next chapter, one of the last questions I want to ask you about being a drill instructor is, looking back, what is your proudest moment from that chapter of your life? Whether it be a specific platoon, whether it be a specific recruit, or just a specific moment out of those 3 years. What is your proudest moment from being a drill instructor?
Um, I have several of them. I mean, one is, I've worked on a project that has a generational change to the Marine Corps. But I will say that nothing is more satisfying than doing the Reaper hike. Nothing is more
Yeah.
satisfying, right? Because like, even though like, yeah, I have the generational changes and whatnot, and I could say like, hey, I'm part of Marine Corps history. Being able to have that change and seeing the hard work that you've put in for the previous week, slaying them and everything else, like on the Reaper, the kids are on their own. There's like no like motivational talk, like, "Come on, buddy," like there's nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
you're dead, bro. They call this a
Yeah.
Reaper for a reason. You are going
Yeah.
to die today.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry, you are dying. Um, and that's the truth, because you do die on the Reaper. You
Yeah.
die as a recruit, and you are reborn as a Marine.
Absolutely.
Uh, and nothing fills more my heart than when the platoons are finally lining up on top of the ridge of the Reaper before they do the last hill is at, and they made it through the whole entire ridge, and they're looking at each other, right, and they're like dabbing each other, and they're like crying because this is the hardest thing we've done. Like, we've not eaten, we've not slept, and we've done
Yep.
the hardest part. Which, by the way, if anybody's watching this, that's not the hardest part of the Reaper. It's the zombie walk back.
Oh yeah.
However, uh, having that moment and knowing like they've pushed their limit, and they know that now that they are capable on their own. They don't need
Yeah.
someone yelling at them. They are capable.
Yep.
And now I can put that Eagle Globe and Anchor in their hand, and it's like, you pass a rite of passage. You are now a United States Marine, and putting that in their hand. It's and seeing like their facial expressions, seeing their eyes, and how much. Like, remember it yourself, man. Like when they
Yeah.
put that Eagle Globe and Anchor in your hand, how much that meant for you.
Man, it was hands down. It was 6 years ago for me, and it feels like it was just yesterday. I mean, what a lot of people don't know is I went during COVID, so I went to boot camp in 2020, and just about every single recruit on that depot got COVID at least once. A lot of us got COVID multiple times. I was one of those unlucky ones.
I had
had
it twice as a hat.
Yeah, I had COVID during the Crucible, and man, it kicked my butt. I also had a sprained meniscus. I had a dislocated shoulder. I had an edema in my right foot. I mean, I was going through the ringer. And I remember climbing up that Reaper. You know, it was like 3 a.m. I'm tired. My back hurts. My body hurts. I'm hungry. But I remember looking back, and it's like, you know, I've come this far. Why am I going to turn back now? Why am I going to give up now? The last, 10, 11 weeks would be for nothing if I give up now. And I had corpsmen telling me, like, dude, your meniscus is shot. Like, you need at least 3 to 4 weeks to recover before you can do this. And I said, you know what? One of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to make it to the top of that hill, and I'm going to earn the title of Marine, or I'm going to see Jesus. And there ain't nothing that anyone is going to tell me otherwise. And I remember as I was hiking up that mountain, I remember I put my face down into my rifle, and I was just rucking on. And I remember I was audibly talking to God the entire time. I said, God, you've got me this far. Help me get one more step. Help me get one more step. Help me get one more step. And I remember when we finally got to that last little hill on the ridge, and I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, man. Is my senior drill instructor, right? Staff Sergeant Martinez, and he's now a first sergeant. But
That's my boy, actually.
man, that guy, he's such a good dude. But Staff Sergeant Martinez was my drill instructor, was my senior drill instructor at the time. And I mean, this guy was hardcore, man. Like, he did not put up with any discrepancies in his platoon. Like, you know what? He had a saying that, if I die, bury me a G. And man, this guy lived that motto, because he was a G in everything that he did. He did not take anything less than perfection. And he was the kind of guy where, like, recruits were afraid of him. You know, recruits were literally afraid of him. I don't know if he knows. I'm sure he knows that, but I don't think he realizes just how much fear he put into a lot of these recruits, because we would low-key talk about it during, like, square away time, you know. But I remember when we finally got to that last little hill, he pulled all of us in. And, you know, I'm very strong in my faith and my beliefs in God. And, you know, he pulled us in, and he said something to me that it was like God speaking to me through him. And he said something that will forever resonate in my heart. It's, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. And he said, you know, for so long you guys have, you know, fought to call yourselves my brother. All that stands in your way now is that last hill. Man, when I tell you it didn't matter how much pain or how many blisters I had, I sprinted up that hill as if I was walking on clouds, man. And then to finally be given that EGA and know that everything that I did was worth it. Man, it wasn't even about me in the moment. You know, I think a lot of people, misunderstand that. They say, wow, like, congratulations, you were a Marine, like, you did it. But it's not about you, because by yourself, there's no way you could have gotten to that point. You know, you rely on your drill instructors, you rely on your fellow recruits, you rely on the people that have supported you to get to where that position is at. You rely on your parents, you rely on your situations, you rely on your experiences prior to the Marine Corps to really shape who you are and get you to that point. Because it is so easy to want to quit. I mean, how many recruits get dropped to RSP? A lot. You know, my platoon started with about 90 people and we ended with about 60. You know, and it's crazy because it's like there's so many opportunities to just give up, but who you are and the experiences that you go through really shape who you are, and that's what you rely on when you're going through it. So it's amazing.
I want to piggyback on that one.
Okay, Staff Sergeant, let's go and piggyback off of what he said.
One of the things that I loved is when recruits would get in the black during the Reaper. And
for all my civilians, going in the black is when you're just completely internal and you just lose sight of all positivity.
Internal, like you just don't want to do it. Like it's bad juju, right?
Yeah.
I guess when we get into the topic of mental health, we'll talk a little bit more about it. Like, drill instructors are really great to go into that very, very dark place of where that human being is at, right? Especially the recruits. They're on that Reaper. And they are completely internal, completely like in the black, like, like they are in the verge of quitting. And I was told, like, whoever the recruit so like let's go, and they're like and looking down, and they're shaking their head, and there's tears coming out of their eyes, and then I would like talk to them softly, and I don't know why it's talking to them softly is like what really gets to them. Like, this is it. This is the last moment. You're not going to give up on this moment. I need you to pull whatever strength you have left.
Yep.
And I need you to bring me back to my daughters. Now sprint. Whatever scenario goes inside their brain when I say, like, I need you to bring me back to my daughters.
Yep.
Like, something. There's a fire. There's something.
It becomes real. It becomes real.
If something awakens in them, and at that point, that at that moment they have relived as a Marine, and they are giving everything that they absolutely have. That is that combat mindset that clicks in. That is that Marine, the spirit of the Corps that just kicks it, and they are going full strength, right? And it's like, you were just dying on that hill, and now you're full blown strength, and I'm now trying to keep up with you, right? And I think that's like one of the coolest things, seeing like how like you have someone that's completely like internal into a black, and you completely like just grab them and pull them back into reality, and like, stay with me, brother, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we hit the mental health portion. But I think that's like really, really cool, and one of those tools that I've taken with me now as a staff NCO.
Absolutely. And I think it's amazing. It's the last thing I'll touch on it is, you're going through 52 hours of just misery, little to no sleep. They say that you get 2 hours of sleep a night, but let's be real. Half the time you're waking up for fire watch, you're getting maybe 45 minutes. You get what they say are 3 MREs, and really it's only 1. You have water in your canteen, but you're not going to have a water buffalo at every single stop. So you're you're just completely exhausted. You're carrying your pack with you everywhere you go. You're doing physical obstacles, and you're just wiped. Especially if you're going in the summer like I did, man. It's
It's brutal.
not
It's
a good
brutal.
time. Not a good
It's
time.
brutal.
But you truly, there's something to appreciate, because when you get pushed to your limit and you think to yourself, "There's no way I can go on anymore," it's like something inside of you flips, and you push just a little bit further, and you realize that you're more capable of what you ever thought you were. And I think that's just one of the greatest things about the Marine Corps. But we are going to
Yes.
transition a little bit. Kind of want to talk a little bit about marriage and relationships. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your wife, how you met her, what caught your attention about her at first, and at what point did you know that she was the one?
All right. So the year is 2005. I'm working at Macy's. I'm actually
You didn't have to try
we
anything on, did you?
no. We both work at Macy's, right? And at the time, I was talking to this other girl, right?
Uh-oh.
And yeah, I was talking to this other girl, trying to lay that good game and stuff, you
I
know.
ain't a player, I just crush a lot.
Yeah, she was like pretty cute and stuff, and I'm talking to her, trying to like lay this, this cool ass game that I have, and at the end of the hallway, I see she's walking by. She's very noticeable, she has her black dress and uniform because that's her favorite color, and she's walking, and she has like this really like bright smile, and she comes up to where we're at, and I stopped her like, "Ma'am, I have a question for you because we're having a little debate over here. Because I'm obviously throwing my game to this other girl over here. And I'm like, I have this question for you. Um, are all men the same?" And she's like, "Yes." And before you continue, before you try to say something like you're different, I don't need to hear it. I have four other brothers. Like, I don't have time to waste with your shit. So I'm leaving. And I'm like, this really just happened. This really just happened, right?
Oh, it's a good way to humble you. It's a really good way to get humbled sometimes, man.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So then, later that week, like I was here, like, hey, what's up? And she was like, "Psst, nothing, man, nothing." And then like the following week, I was like, yo, what's your problem, man? Like I'm just here, just saying hi and everything. I was like, yeah, I mean, I have zero interest in knowing anything about you. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, okay. So then that went into like bantering. So like I would see her like, hey, what's up, girl with the shitty attitude? And she's like, well, it's better to have a shitty attitude than have a shitty game. So I'm like, wow. Um, so anyways, um, one day like she's having this argument with one of her coworkers, and I'm like, all right, cool, bet. um I'm trying to figure out because they were making a lot of commotion, and then I try to figure out what was going on, and it was like her coworker stole one of her sales. I'm like, that's pretty messed up, like you shouldn't be doing that. And she was caught off guard that I was defending her after we've been bantering for so long. So I guess like we started like talking and everything else, and then like I don't know, it kind of like developed after that. And I mean, she was like one of these like, I'm a strong, independent woman. Like I don't need no man. I don't want to have no kids. I don't want to have any of this. I'm never going to get married. I'm like, all right, cool. Like we'll see about it. And here we are.
Yeah.
A couple decades later.
Now, military life isn't always easy on marriages. So, what challenges have you guys faced together while you're in the military, and what has helped your marriage survive those difficult seasons?
I, dude. I'll be honest. I think like one of it is obviously like separation time. Having kids like that will
Yeah.
complicate a lot of things. Finances is a super huge thing. Especially like if you're a lance corporal and everything else, and living in California, like it's expensive, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially if you have kids, like you're trying to like figure out and like she wants things and you want things, and it's like, and the kid needs things. So trying to like figure that one out. Uh, that deployments are obviously they are very very rough, especially reintegration. That is, I want to say, my first deployment was really rough. Second deployment, uh, kind of rough. DI, uh, we almost call it splits. And then like this last deployment that I just came back like a month ago, the reintegration has been pretty smooth, at least between me and her. Now the kids a little bit different, uh, but it's not easy. And people that come up over here and say like, "Oh, marriage is like rainbows and chocolate waterfalls," like, no, man, like,
No, no, it is not.
no. It's not. And people are like, no, love will persist and everything else. Like, yeah, yeah, love will persist, and love is all and love is patient and everything else. But, there's a lot of grinds on it. There's a lot of stuff that you have to swallow. There's a lot of stuff that, that she's going to have to, compromise, right? It comes down to compromise and everything else.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff where, just the same way as in boot camp, right? You have to surrender yourself to your spouse, or your spouse has to surrender herself to you, right? Both have to surrender yourselves to be able to entwine, and it's hard, man. It's hard, especially
Yeah.
in the military, because there are competing interests. Like work, the Marine Corps is going to demand of what it wants. Like, it is a well lubricated machine, and when it wants to eat, it's going to eat. It's going to demand,
Oh yeah.
either by duties, workups, deployments. It's going to want to eat, right?
Oh yeah.
And guess what? Your wife is going to want to eat too. She's going to want time and everything else. And now you have to figure out, how do you balance that, right?
Yep.
How do you balance, like, when she is like on full blown, like, I hate the Marine Corps. I want you to get out like tomorrow. Like, I am going to call your commanding officer. Like, I don't know how many times
Yeah.
I've heard about that, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, you hear so many times, and you're like, please don't do that, please, like.
I know
But
you hate it, but just hang in there.
just hang in there. It gets
Yep.
better. It really doesn't get better, but
It doesn't
you
get it
start.
doesn't get easier. You just learn how to cope with it. You learn how to live with it.
Well, you also understand, right? As a husband, you start to understand, like, she's just venting. Let her vent.
Yeah.
Let her have her cake. Let her, like, go through it. I will be your punching bag. Use
Yep.
me as your gym. I will hear it. Just don't call my commanding officer.
Right. Right. Right.
uh, and that's the thing, right? And sometimes, like, you are tired and you just don't want to hear it, right? But
Yeah.
it comes into the balance of communication and effective communication. Like, sometimes, like, you just have to, like, shut up and listen to whatever she has to say, and you just take it, and you're like, all right, cool. And then sometimes, like, you're frustrated and you just offload all this stuff on her, right? And,
Yeah.
like, people that think like, oh, marriage is a perfect 50-50, like, no, sometimes, like, you have only 20%, and sometimes she's going to have to give in an 80%. Sometimes she only got 10% to give, and you're going to have to give in 90%, even if you're
Yeah.
completely gassed out, right? Uh, Marriage is not easy. It is not easy
Yeah.
whatsoever. It's even harder than maintaining a military career, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, but at the end of the day, if as long as both understand uh, that there's more, you lose more than the whole concept is like, what weighs more, right? If we are both together, do we win more together or do we lose more together? Or if we're
Yeah.
separated, do we win more together or do we lose more together, right?
Yep.
If if I separate from my wife, I lose a lot, right? I lose a friend, I lose a
Yeah.
companion, I lose the time that I have with my kids, right? That I appreciate not have not getting divorced during the depot, right?
Yep.
And uh because now I get to enjoy my kids. Like, uh I just went, my whole entire family. We just went to the lake, and it was just me and my son. We were both on kayaks, going synchronized, both at the same time. Could I
Yep.
have done that as a divorced dad? Maybe,
No.
but
Maybe, but it would
what?
have been a lot more difficult.
Yeah, but would
Yeah.
have it been a core memory for my kids?
Yep.
No, it would have not. I mean, core memory like me and dad, but it's not a core memory of
As a
family.
family, right?
And I think that's like that's very, very important.
Absolutely. So I want you to talk to all of the men here. What's one thing that every husband should understand?
Uh, Understand that your wife is your companion, right? Your household is not like I'm helping around the house. It is a shared house, right? You share responsibilities. Like if you go onto my lives, you'll always see me doing dishes. Like always see me doing dishes, right? And people are like, "Damn, bro,
Yep.
like you're always doing dishes." Like, yeah, because she does the cooking. I don't like cooking. I like doing
Yeah.
dishes. So she does the
Yeah.
cooking. I do the dishes.
Yeah.
We do a perfect balance, right? Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes like as a man, like you have to like also like kind of like take a step back and understand what she's going through, right? A lot of times like us the service members, we want to be like, yeah, like I've worked all day and I come back home like maybe she's tired too, like you don't know what's going on her back end. It's not like she's been staying on the couch the whole
Absolutely.
entire time. So I think
Absolutely.
understanding that piece of like understanding her and everything else it's very important, understanding.
Now we're going to flip it. Now speak to all the women. As a man, as a husband, what do you think every woman, every wife should understand to better support her husband?
Ooh, you know what?
I know this is a
I'm not
big
even going
one.
to talk about that because you know what? The women are going to be like, like you know what? Honestly, like I can't give like a good advice to the man or the woman because everyone has a very unique situation in their own relationship. So me say this and them taking it, it's just like saying like, hey, you know, you're a parent and here's a book for parenting and here's all the vices. Like,
Yeah.
really, is there really advice of how to do good parenting? Not really, right? So
Yeah.
every situation is unique. Just be able to be open and hear each other. And like I said at the beginning of this topic, like being able to surrender to each other. And I'm not saying be docile, but
Yeah.
just surrender to each other and everything else should be able to flow.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really think that relationships kind of have to be a give and take, right? Both sides have to make sacrifices, but at the same time, don't sacrifice too much to where you're only giving and not
Yep.
receiving. Kind of moving forward, though, let's talk about a little bit about your fatherhood. How did becoming a father change you as a person?
Every decision you make, everything is for your kids. Every single decision you make.
Absolutely.
Hey, do I want to go and buy this nice little toy? Maybe not, right? Like I'm constantly
Yep.
looking at my bank account, right? So right now I'm like thinking right
Yep.
now, like, okay, I have this much money, but what do I have in August coming up? Oh, back to school. I
Back to
got back
school.
to school.
Yep.
So guess what? All this other stuff that I want to buy or power tools or everything else, I have to like hold back
Gotta
on
wait.
that. Right now I'm
Yep.
thinking like, hey, my oldest daughter is going to need a car, but guess what? I got my middle daughter that she got 2 more years. So now I got to start planning on what vehicles am I going to purchase so that way she can start driving and everything else. So I think like I
Yep.
do like a lot of forward planning of how do I better prepare for them to be successful. I mean, the good majority of my decision of being in the military was in the benefits of my kids, of what I
Yep.
can be able to provide them the best.
Absolutely. I think you hit it. I think you hit the. I think you really hit the nail on the head. I recently became a father 3 weeks ago. By the time that this episode airs, it'll be about a month ago, and man, it's just it's like a switch gets flipped and it's involuntary. You don't even understand until you're thrown into that lion's den and you realize that life is no longer about me. It's now about my child, and it's so unique, man, and it's crazy how your brain gets rewired the moment you hold your
It
child
it,
for the
it
first
does.
time.
It does change everything and perspective, decisions, and everything else. Like that is your responsibility. Your responsibility is that's the future. That is
Mm-hmm.
your investment. And if you are not
Absolutely.
treating your investment correctly, like what are you doing? That is your investment. You are investing
Yeah.
in the future. There's no monetary value to that. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, what surprised you the most about being a father, and what has been your greatest joy as being a
Just
father?
watching them grow up, man. Just watching them grow up, see like their different personalities and how different are they.
Yep.
Especially like when me and my wife, we sit back and watch them, and they're like, "Oh, she got this from you." And like, no, 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 he got this from you, right? And seeing like their different personalities, especially like they're in their teens right now, and their personalities are really showing how different is like my oldest daughter, that she's like very glamorous, very princess like, to like my middle daughter is very like sassy and everything else, and then my son, my youngest son, is like the coolest, chillest kid, like surfer type vibes, and like let's go watch anime and like let's just chill. Like it's cool, man. It's just cool, just enjoying watching them grow and all the different personalities. A headache, I will say this, a headache, especially when they're fighting amongst each other, right? As siblings
Oh yeah.
do, especially when they do that like at 1 in the morning. But uh, it's enjoyable, man. It is very enjoyable watching that.
Yeah. Now, I know we mentioned earlier in the podcast that unfortunately you have lost both of your parents, one at a very young age and one not too much later. But now, as a father yourself, looking back, how has becoming a father changed how you view your parents and maybe some of the decisions that they made raising you?
Um, Man, I want to say my mom was a rock star. My mom was a rock star. I have so many good core memories of my mom. My dad, on the other aspect, uh, I don't know, man. I just don't. I can't justify a lot of the stuff that I went through, and I'm like, I was his son. Like, why would he make me go through this? Like, I can't justify a lot of the decisions that he made, right? And some of it was his
Yeah.
own hard upbringing. That in itself should be its own episode. But sometimes I question it, right? I question a lot of the decisions that he's made. Uh, but looking at myself and even looking at my older brother, of the decisions that we both made as dads, ourselves, like I think we've done a pretty outstanding job with, the earlier ages of like when my mom was alive, and my dad, which was a very different person compared to like after he passed away.
Yeah. So, what are some of the values that you believe are most important for your children to learn, both when they were younger and even now as they're entering and even progressing through their teenage years?
Dude, hustle and work, man. Hustle, work, integrity. Uh, I think like the biggest thing is work, man. Like nothing, like everything is earned.
Yeah,
I think like that's some like Marine
absolutely.
Corps ism that's over here. Like everything is earned. Like do not wish for anything for free. Do not ask. Like my wife, she is one that will never ever ask for any help, no handouts or
Yeah,
anything else. Like we've always been built like this. Even when you go to my lives, like I'll be telling the people like, don't give me no gifts. All right, don't want no gifts. Don't send me nothing. No roses. I don't care if it's like 1 penny, because that is your money. All right, I don't deserve any of your money. And even if you feel like giving it to me, like and like my kids hear that stuff, like, and they're like, I'm like,
yeah,
but why? But we see everyone else like do battles and other stuff, and that's the way how they earn money. Like they're not earning money, man. Like that's not how you earn money. Like you have to actually like put in your own work and everything else, and then you get paid for doing that. You want to do your money on social
absolutely.
media? Hey, start grinding and making some content. So now, like my middle daughter, now
Yeah,
she's getting into like creating content and stuff, like doing like little food reviews with me. So, uh, I think
yeah.
that's the biggest thing right now.
Looking back, as you being a drill instructor, I know discipline is something that is really engraved in you while you're going through DI school and while you're, being a drill instructor on the field. But when it comes to your own children, how do you balance discipline with
Ah,
love?
so as I mentioned, right, my my life with my dad was very very hard. I have lots of nightmares with that. Um, I don't want my kids to have that.
Yeah,
I don't need them to have like memories of me like a drill instructor face. Like that's for the recruits. That's for the
yeah,
recruits. It's not for my kids. Now, will they get a version of me pissed off because they did something extremely stupid? Yeah, absolutely. They're going to get
Yeah.
blasted for the dumb stuff that they do. But go like DI mode on them and like no, like I'll have a conversation with them. Do they understand what they did wrong? Like yes, like even like yesterday, like I had a situation with my oldest and my middle, right? And I just simply said like, hey, well, you had this planned out. You're not going. You're grounded. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Or hey, my other two kids do something like, guess what? You're going to get punished. You're not going to have internet to play Fortnite for the next week. I'm going to take something
Yeah.
that you love, which is that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cause them any sort of trauma or anything else like that. So that's the most that's the most that I'm trying to avoid the most is like you can do discipline without creating some sort of trauma to them.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing that's so important as a parent is consistency. Consistency and fairness. You know, if you're going to say yes to your child, you need to follow through with it. If you're going to say no, you need to follow through with that as well. Because when you kind of go back and forth and be a little bit wishy-washy, your children pick up on that and it starts building resentment whether they intend to have it or not. So absolutely, I think you again hit the nail right on the head, and I think that's really great. But a lot of people view being a parent as being a teacher, but they don't realize that also part of being a parent is learning. So what's something that your kids have taught you as their parent?
I guess, I mean, one is the language, right? This new generation language, the Gen Alpha or Gen Beta. I don't know what generation
Yeah,
this is, right?
yeah,
Uh, but you get to learn a lot, right? You get to learn a lot about the different gaps and everything else. And you also
yeah,
understand like the needs of the society of what the society is going through, right? Especially
yeah,
like being a staff NCO and seeing like all these groups that are coming through, you kind of like understand, right? And you understand some of the lingo that they say because your own kids are talking about that, right? Uh, so,
6, 7.
like 6, 7, like I'm like um, but you start like picking up on that type of stuff, and you get to learn a lot
Yeah,
about yourself with your kids because your kids are going to push your limits, brother. They're going to push your limits to the
yeah,
max.
oh yeah, oh
So
yeah,
you learn to have a lot of patience with them, learn with a lot of love different techniques too. Like how do you get through them, right? So you learn a lot, man. You
absolutely,
you learn a lot.
yeah. Now, I want you to flash forward to another 30 to 40 years from now, maybe even 50 years, when you've already passed on and your children are living without you. What's one thing that you want them to remember you by? Like, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave for your children?
Man, you honestly, I just want them to have the core memories, right? And some of the core memories, like you can see the core memories on TikTok or on Facebook and everything else, and they can look back at that. Like they can look back
Yeah,
like, hey, mom and dad took the time to take us to like mom and dad took us time to go and eat. Mom and dad took us like I want them to know like we appreciate quality of time and took the time for them to have and enjoy the present because teenagers, all they care about is like, when can I go work? When can I get married? Where can I do this? When can I go to college? Right? They're not living the present, right? And here I am as a
yeah,
parent, like, pump the brakes. I want you to enjoy this moment. So here in a couple of years, when they can
yeah,
look back, like, man, we really did have a good. They were looking out for us and to actually
yeah,
enjoy and all this other stuff, like living in the moment.
absolutely. Now we're going to transition to mental health. I know this is going to be really deep. It's going to be really heavy. We're going to kind of dig into some things that are probably not going to be comfortable to talk about or fun to talk about or even fun to hear. But again, for everyone in here, as well as my guest Jonas, these conversations are important to have sometimes. And again, we just want to emphasize, if you are going through something, reach out to somebody. It is so important to understand that people are on your side. There are resources that are out there to help you get through whatever you're going through. So if that is you, please, please, please reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. If you are unsure of who to talk to, guys, send me a message. I'd love to connect with you. And if I can't help you, at least help point you in the right direction. So with that being said, Jonas, mental health is something that more people are talking about today than ever before. Why do you think that is?
I know it's become there's a lot more people that are aware of it. There's two aspects to it, right? There's a lot more awareness to it. But I also think it's like a trend too, right? Like everybody talks about like what can we do for a mental awareness or mental health.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a lot of people are ready to have those deep conversations, right? Everybody talks about 22 a day, and it started like the gimmick of let's do 22 push-ups, right? Cool.
Yep.
But what do you do when stuff really hits the fan, right? What do you do?
Yep.
Are you there? And that is the true test, right? And it's hard, right? What do you do when someone is like in crisis? It's very different. It's very dark, and it's very heavy. And I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think a lot of people are really ready for that. They'll come be like either talk about like, "Hey, I'm here for the veterans" or anything else, and when the conversation gets deep and when it gets heavy and it gets dark, and you remember how I was talking about earlier about being in the black, right? When you are there, like you can feel like you are in that dark space with them, and how heavy it gets. It's rough, man. It's really rough.
Oh yeah.
And you have to have a strong will, strong mindset to be able to pull yourself out of that space, but pull that person also with you out of that space, because it's a dark spot, man. And either that person can take you down into the black with them, and both of you can spin out, or like you end up making that person go into a really worse scenario. And uh it's very we have to be careful with when we talk about mental health and the spaces that we decide to take these journeys, because it's scary, dude. Like you don't know who you encounter. Like the other day, like a year ago, I had someone that mysteriously, there was like this like TikTok battle. I don't want to say like battle, but like people were beefing, and this one Marine that you could tell that he is drunk out of his mind, and he's making video over video, and like someone brought it up to me, and I looked at the Marines post because I was kind of like in the middle of whatever the beef was. And I noticed like, yo, like you guys need to all back off of this guy, because there is something like it's really, really not there. And I reached out to the Marine like, hey man, do you mind if we could talk one on one? I don't care about this drama. Let's talk. There's something like when you talk, dude, like it's like some very serious, very dark stuff. Talking with him, maybe 2 months afterwards, I get a video from him saying like, "Hey, dog, I'm sorry. Uh, I can't deal with my demons anymore." And it literally sends me a video of him taking a cocktail of pills and swallowing them. Though I'm getting off of work because I'm working 12 on 12 off. I'm getting off of work, and I'm like, this dude lives in Texas, and I'm in North Carolina. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do, right? And I'm over here like, okay, let me call 988. I call 988. I'm trying to tell the person like, this is everything that's going on. Like, we need to figure out like this veteran has just offed himself. He sent me a video. Like, I need you guys to do something for this guy. It's like, okay, but how are you doing? I'm like, I don't care about me right now. Like, I need someone to be able to reach this person. Um, they were not really helpful. So I got in contact with a couple other people. I'm like, hey, I don't care what means that we do, unethical or not. We need to figure out that this dude is alive. Uh,
Yeah.
Later on, we did find out, like, yes, he he did wake up pretty drowsy from all that, right? But obviously, uh, we had that long conversation, and there were some nights
Yeah.
where it got really dark with him, and we pull him out, and the same thing with other people, right? That they are on a railroad. I'm ready to I'm on here and I'm ready to jump off. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
let's not do that, right? So it's
Yeah.
hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah. How do you know when you yourself are reaching your limit, and what are some healthy ways that you've learned to cope with stress?
Dude, it's weird, right? Because like I juggle with a lot of things, and I think like one of the biggest mistakes myself as a creator was not knowing what boundaries to set aside, right? And I'm telling you, man, as if anybody decides to be a content creator, you have to be aware to put boundaries, right? Because you will find some
Yeah.
people that genuinely need help, and then other people they are like in some other spectrum that it's like I'm not even trained for this, right? Um,
Yeah.
you need to know like you can't save everyone. You can't.
Absolutely.
You can't save everyone, right? You do as much as you.
Even if you want to, it's just not possible.
It's not, man. Like there's so many people that need money for something. There's many people that
Yep.
like you can't do it, man. Like you can't.
Yep.
And if you dwell on that and you take it all in, like you can't take into everybody's issues, right? You can only take
You can't.
portions at a time, man. It's like for example, my wife that she's an accountant. She can't take every business that she wants. Like she would love to take everybody's money and to manage everybody's book, but it's not humanly possible. It's not humanly possible that you can be able to help everyone. You try the best as you can, but realistically, humanly possible, like that's like where you start. You have to be aware, like, hey, is this weighing down on me? Am I investing too much time in this where it's taking away from my own mental health, right? And you have to be aware of
Right.
that. You have to. Because
Absolutely.
you're no good to no one if your own self you know you're in that same spot.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit as men here, and this isn't to discredit any of the women here, but as a man, man to man, I think a lot of the times we as men are, whether it's right or wrong, we're kind of taught to kind of withhold our emotions and not really show those feelings. But why do you think it is that so many men struggle to ask for help, even when they are in that black, even when they are in the red, and they're on that edge? Why is it that you think they just don't want to ask for help?
I think a lot of it is upbringing, right? Like think about like when you were a child, right? You start crying, and then the first thing they say like, "Hey, why are you crying? You're a man. Man don't cry," right? So you're conditioned to that, right? It's like an elephant, right? I always bring up the how you raise up an elephant in the circus, right? The elephant when it's baby, it's stuck to a little small rod, and it tries to pull from it, and it can't break away from that little rod. Well, as the elephant grows and grows and grows and become a giant adult elephant, it still has the same rod, but it learned from very baby that it couldn't pull from it, so it doesn't even fight to try to do that. It's the same aspect to us.
Absolutely.
Like they're like, hey, seek out for help and everything else, but you've been conditioned like that, so it makes it really hard for us to like cry, show emotion. Like even for myself, like for me, it's really really hard for me to like cry. Like when my dad passed away, I really not even sure if I cried. I showed
Just went numb.
rage.
Yeah.
I definitely showed rage, but
Oh yeah.
the the grieving portion and crying, like I can't remember that.
Yeah. So, what what advice would you give to somebody who's struggling silently?
I would say, don't struggle alone. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Find a tribe. I mean, I'm right now with IW, right? And one thing is find that tribe, find your people, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Find someone to talk with. Don't struggle by yourself. There's someone else that's going through this stuff. Like, do not struggle by yourself. And yes, I know, like, at the beginning, I said, like, hey, do not take up, but there's so many people out there. There's so many people. There's no reason why you should be like you are the only one. Like, we are like sand. There's so many grains of sand on the beach. Like, talk to someone. Talk to someone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that is so important. Again, guys, if you are going through something, there are so many resources out there. Please, please, please utilize them. Don't feel like you have to go through things alone. There are so many people here that care about you, that are willing to help you. All you have to do is pick up the phone and reach out. With that being said, we're going to transition a little bit into grief and loss. I know you had already mentioned, again, some of the loss and some of the grief that you've gone through, but I think grief is something that every person experiences differently. In your own experiences, dealing with what you had to deal with, what has grief taught you?
You have to go through grief. You have to.
Yep.
A lot of times, right, there's like 5 stages of grief. What you go through right now, like, I've learned that everything that happens in your life happens for a purpose, right? If my mom would have not died, would I have ever met my wife? If my dad would have not died, would I have married my wife and have my kids? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know, like, there are specific things, specific events, fixed events in my life that has driven me to this point of where I'm at in my life right now, where I can give the advice and the insights that I can because I've gone through that. And you don't know, because at that moment that you're suffering that grief, like you are suffering, you are in that black. But here to a couple of years in a time, someone else will need you, and you, because of those events that you've gone in your life. I know it sucks as an answer, but there's always a purpose behind it. Like, we always ask, like, the why this happened, right? You won't get the why till so really down the road, and then it's like, okay, all these things had to happen to me be in this position in my life where I have this moment of happiness, or I have this insight where I can provide to someone else, so they're able to grow.
Absolutely. How do you think grief has changed the way that you value relationships?
Oh man, I am like a cucumber plant, right? Like, I am growing and I am like grabbing these relationships I have, right? Like, like, obviously, like, with my wife, my best friends I mentioned at the beginning, they are like my brothers and sisters. Even in the Marine Corps, right? Like, we lose a lot. Like, we lose a lot every time a buddy of our EASs, we lose someone, right? And there is a certain level of grieving, and we start to cherish those friendships even more. So I think, like, when it comes down to it, like, grieving is teaching us to live the present and to cherish and to grow from it and to learn from it.
Yeah. What's something that you think people often say to someone who's grieving that isn't actually helpful to them?
I don't know, man. It just really depends on the situation, right? Because, like, you'll get a lot of, like, oh, my condolences and I'm sorry, but like, who are these people that are telling you that I'm sorry or my condolences? Like, do they know the person and everything else, right?
I think a lot of times we hear, oh, like, I'm so sorry, but it's going to be okay, or, oh, they're in a better place, or, whatever the case may be. And it's like, while part of that may be true. It's like you're viewing it from an outside perspective, and it's like, yes, while you may have had your own experiences with loss and with grief, your experience is not the same as this
And I
person's
think like
experience. Whether
I
go
think
ahead.
like a lot of it is also depends on your values, right? Like some people are like, well, now
Yeah,
like your mom's watching you from heaven. Like, what if my belief system is like when the person dies, they just lay there and rest in the ground and they're nowhere, and
yeah,
so like you're talking to people and like I don't believe in that stuff that you just told me. So like
yeah,
it just comes to like empty words, right? So I think one of the
right,
biggest things that people could do, right, is just ask the people like, what do you need? What do you need right now from me
yeah,
to help you out? I think like that's the biggest thing that people
absolutely,
should be asking instead of be like, I'm sorry, condolences. Like they're watching you from somewhere. You're like, no, maybe like ask them like what they need, you know?
yeah, absolutely. Do you think grief ever truly ends, or do we just learn how to carry it differently?
Uh that's a very loaded question. I think grief will always be there, right? I'll always miss
Yep.
my mom. I mean, I just recently we just watched what Project Adam. I don't know if you've ever watched Project Adam,
Mm-hmm.
but even
Mm-hmm.
like seeing like the little small interactions between Ryan Reynolds and his and the dad in the movie, I was getting choked up.
Yep.
I was getting teary eyed, right? So uh there's always going to be some portion of like I miss that, like I miss my dad and I miss my mom and
Yep.
everything else, like that's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. um how we manage it, I think, gets easier over time, because at the beginning
Yep.
it's really hard. It feels like they're stabbing you in the heart, like saying their name hurts. It hurts. I
Yeah.
had to go to a lot of therapy for that, to be able to like say
Yeah.
mom and dad and have those words come out, and it gets easier over time. It's just really sucks at the beginning.
Absolutely. Looking back, what's something that helped you heal in your moments of grief the most?
I mean, that's like I mentioned at the beginning, like academics did a lot, like a lot.
Yep.
Academics did a lot, but I think it was a cop out. uh I had tunnel vision on one thing, and even though I thought that I was grieving well, I didn't. I wasn't grieving well. I
Yep.
like focused on this thing and then start pushing the feelings to the side and pushed it and shoved it down, right? We talked about men and mental health
Yep.
and being silent. I shoved it down. And well, all I
Yep.
was doing is pushing more stuff inside Pandora's box until it blew up, you know? And you don't know when it
Yep.
blows up until, somewhere like, I don't know, being on the depot on your third or fourth cycle where
Mm-hmm.
you're tired and everything just, all the emotions start blowing up all at once. How do you deal with it,
Absolutely.
right? Uh,
Yep.
so uh, I don't think I'm like the best person to say like how to manage grief, because I think
Yeah.
I did like everything wrong with when it comes to grief, except like I didn't do no like drug abuse or anything else like that. But what I will
Yeah.
say is like if you are struggling with grief, look for help, look for a therapist to help you manage and
Yep.
navigate that.
Absolutely. We're gonna kind of we're gonna kind of transition to leadership and service a little bit. Looking back, obviously you're a staff non-commissioned officer in the Marine Corps. You're a former drill instructor. You've been an NCO. You've been a recruit. You've been a junior enlisted. You've had both the moments of followership and leadership. What does leadership truly mean to you, and what's the difference between having authority and earning respect?
I'm a firm believer of servitude leadership, right?
Yep.
I'm not there to lead for you guys to serve me. I'm there to lead to serve you, right? What do I have to
Yep.
give you for you to be successful, right? What tools do I need to give you for you to be successful? What
Yep.
tools? What classes? What courses, right? You are no good to me if you're no good to me for me to lead you if you don't have the resources that you need for you to be successful. Because at the end of the day, I have a time clock, buddy. I I'm going to leave the Marine Corps at some point. I need my replacement, so I
Yep.
need to be able to train my replacement. I need to give them the resources. I need them to be able. If I am not here, if something would happen to me, freaking Jonas the Mad Hatter or Gunnery Sergeant Cruz, I am not here. What happens? Who takes the mantle when I'm not here? And does it continue to operate if I was not here? If the workplace operates the same way while I'm not there, is it operating the same way? Then that means it was good, that that everybody was trained. But if I leave and all of a sudden everything goes to shambles, something went wrong.
Absolutely. What's one of the biggest mistakes that you've seen young leaders consistently make?
Okay, so when we talk about young leaders and especially like corporals, and I talk to this a lot to the corporals courses, like a lot of times like corporals believe like leadership is going to come by osmosis, right? It's like, no, bro. Like this is like your first like glance to do all this stuff. Like you see me right now, the gutter sergeant that you see right now is not the same corporal that you see. Like I went through a lot of freaking like a lot of growth, like a lot of growth, right?
Yeah.
Um. So with that being said, like don't expect to know everything, right? Don't be afraid to make mistakes either. Make the mistakes. You have to make the mistakes. If you don't make the mistakes, how do you grow? If you are afraid to lead,
Yeah.
how do you grow? You have to be able to make the
Absolutely.
mistakes, right? I'm not saying like the mistakes of like, oh, I committed like sexual assault. Like, no, we're not talking about that. Okay, that's not a mistake. That is a decision, a wrong decision that you make, right? I'm saying
Yeah.
like, hey, make the wrong call. Okay, well, guess what? We'll reconvene and redo it again. Hey, you choose someone out. Well, guess what?
Yep.
You didn't read the order. Well, now you know. Like before you choose someone out, go read the order, and now I know what to do. Right? You have to make the mistakes. You
Yeah.
need to be able to exercise your authority and make the mistakes on the way. Obviously, within the fine guidelines, right? To be able to grow, right? If you don't exercise those type of things, how do you grow, right? It's like going to the gym. How do you get bigger muscles if you don't exercise those muscles?
Absolutely. Do you think leadership can be taught, or is it something that you think is just innate in somebody that kind of improves over time?
I think it's both, right? Uh, it's both aspects, right? There's leadership that can be taught, right? Because you teach through perspective, right? That's kind of like where mentorship comes through, right? Um, and then there's people that are naturally talented to lead, that are naturally inspire people. And sometimes you do see that in the Marine Corps that, do not have the talent to lead. And then you like
Yeah.
scratch your head, like, how did you get promoted? Right? How did you,
I think we've all
yeah,
been
like
there.
you do have that, like, and not saying like they're terrible
Yeah.
leaders, because they do have good characteristics, right? There are still some aspects, but uh maybe they need some more time to exercise that in a younger age, or go through they needed some more mentorship. As it comes down to, like,
Yeah.
they needed some more mentorship than anything else.
Absolutely. Who is the best leader that you've ever worked for, and what made this person so great?
Ooh, I will say that Gunnar Sergeant Hilder is by far one of the greatest leaders that I've ever worked with. I have my wife over here on the side that she's shaking her head. She's like, and because I will tell you that this man cared. He cared. Uh, in my years as a corporal, my daughter suffered of an illness called anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, which I walked her into the ER, and she was hospitalized for at least like a good 3 months. She almost died. Like she almost died. Like imagine that. Uh,
Wow.
he went every day to the hospital, and given like where he lived, where we worked at, is 40 minutes. He went every single day to the hospital. The command was very involved, uh, and sometimes I like hear on non-regs and all these other pages of Marines like, oh, like my command is threatening me to give me a 6105 because I have not shown up to work. Like, literally, Gunner Sergeant Hiller told me, do not show up to work. Your mission is to make sure that your daughter is good.
Yeah.
And he called me every day, and even after he retired, he still reached out. Right? That is very unique. That to me has had so much impact of who I am as a leader as I am today. Like even some of my bubbles that I've gotten out, I still reach out to them like, "Yo, what's up, man? How's your life been going?" You know, even Marines that are on the Tiki Talks, right? I reach out and be like, "Hey, how you doing? How's your transition?" I mean, I've talked with you numerous times, right, Cass? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's it's just one of those things, man. Like uh, just care, man. You just
Absolutely.
when you show that you care, everything else falls in line.
Absolutely. What's one of the worst experiences of leadership, without getting into too much detail or bad mouthing anybody? What's one of the worst experiences of leadership that you've truly encountered? And how did you kind of use that to both shape your leadership now, and how did you get through it in the
I
moment?
think the worst one was when I was on the depot on quota. I had a chief that was above me. He was a prior hat, and when I tell you, like I was getting hazed like no other, uh, it was pretty brutal, man. It was pretty brutal. Um, and there was two ways to go about this, right? Because he was able to um, ostracize me and everything else. Like I had like the whole entire department against me, and the way how I had to learn. Those were like the early ages of me being a staff NCO. It's learning the politics behind it, right? What do I need
Yeah.
to do to get this man out of here, right? And I knew like that man, all he wanted to go was to become a DI school instructor, right?
Yeah.
And the good thing is, like, I mean, I was in good faith with the RTR Sergeant Major, so kind of like whistling, like, man, this guy would be really, really great to go become a DI school instructor, right? And you're not bad
Yeah.
mouthing him, right? You're just giving him what he needs so he
Yeah.
could get out of that area, right? And
Yeah.
I think like that's kind of like the first instincts of politics. I kind of start like learning like it's not always like go clash on, go head to head against someone. Maybe it's like, hey, how do
Yeah.
I attract more bees with honey in this type of scenario instead of getting stung all the time?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit as a staff non-commissioned officer, as a Marine, as a former drill instructor. I hope I hope you've been doing your homework and studying. But for a lot of civilians, they may have heard this, they may not have. But what is JJ did
Oh,
tie
JJ
buckle?
did tie buckle. This is our leadership traits. And now it's not JJ did tie buckle, it's JJ did tie buckle E, right? Do I have to say them all?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind.
Okay, JJ, justice, judgment, did, decisiveness, initiative. I want to say dedication. Did, tie,
Yep.
tactful. The second
Yep.
I is integrity. Did I say endurance
Mm-hmm.
already?
Not yet.
Endurance. Okay, now we're going to buckle. Bearing.
Yep.
I'll get back to you. Courage, knowledge. Uh, I know loyalty is not it. I already said endurance. I forgot what the other E is. I know like uh, empathy is a new one.
Okay.
So I am left with the
Well,
use.
Staff Sergeant, we clearly don't study, so go ahead and blouse off the
Oh
body and
no no
pit, ready,
no.
move. But out of that JJ did tie buckle, in your personal opinion, I know all of them are important. All of them have their own role, but in your personal experience, your personal opinion, which of those traits do you think is the most important in order to become a good leader?
There's not one that's the most important. It's sad to say, like, we always want to weigh like one thing is more important, but it's like everything in life, right? Everything has to be balanced out, right? Like, what's good of you to have
Absolutely.
a lot of bearing if you have zero courage or have zero knowledge, right? Like, what's the point, right? Or have all the knowledge but zero judgment. So you have to have a good balance across the whole entire board, that and they're all tied together. Like, you cannot, like, if you disbalance one or make one more important than the other, then you're going to become a shitty leader.
Yeah. Last but not least about leadership, if you could talk to yourself as a brand new corporal, brand new NCO, maybe even a brand new drill instructor, what's one word of advice that you would give that younger Jonas the Mad Hatter?
I would say don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Do everything, and everything will make sense down the road. I have zero regrets.
Love that.
I might have pissed a lot of people off in my corporal and sergeant days, but if I would have not done all those mistakes, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Absolutely. Everything works out for a reason. So we're going to transition into some rapid fire questions. So these are going to be really quick. Feel free to answer however you like. If if you prefer something entirely different than your options, by all means, give us that other option. All right. So here we go. First question: coffee or energy drinks? Beach or mountains? Favorite movie?
Ooh. I will say oh my gosh, I forgot what that movie is. Oh my gosh.
Must not be your favorite.
Yo, I can't believe Okay, Inception. Let's go with Inception.
Okay, Inception. Your favorite TV show?
Ooh, favorite TV show currently right now? Ooh, I will have to go with Heroes.
Okay. Your favorite musical genre?
Ooh, that's really hard because I like a lot.
Me too, man. Me too.
I'll go with metal right now.
Okay. Now, this is going to be a two-part question. Favorite place you've ever been as a civilian, and the favorite place you've ever been deployed to.
All right. Favorite place I've gone as a civilian has been Puerto Rico. Favorite place I've been deployed to, Puerto Rico.
Good answer. Good answer.
There's nothing that beats being deployed at home, huh?
What's one food that you could eat every single day for the rest of your life and not grow tired of?
Tacos.
Now, I'm sure this one's probably not going to be very rapid, but what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve? Seeing that there are things misplaced or can be done and are not done. Like, example, if the trash can is full and it's not taken out.
Or perhaps an unlocked footlocker?
Why did 50 pass by and not lock it if they saw that it's wide open?
Well. Now, would you consider yourself an early bird or a night owl?
I'm definitely an early bird. Definitely early.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? What are 3 words that your wife would use to describe you as?
Funny, analytic, and perfectionist.
What are 3 words your children would use to describe you?
Funny, big back, and bald.
Last but not least, feel free to take your time on this a little bit. What is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in the Marine Corps that you were allowed to talk about?
Oh, the funniest thing. As a drill instructor or in the fleet wise?
Regardless.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I mean, there are a couple things. I mean, the funniest.
Just give me one moment. One moment that you look back on and you're like, man, I wish I could relive that moment.
Man, I mean, I definitely do not want to relive the whole recruit shitting inside the Foot Locker. I mean, it was pretty hilarious. I will say,
I'm not even going to
but
ask.
I just the smell of it was just absolutely terrible. I mean, there are a couple things that did happen on deployment, but I think like people would like question like what the hell were your Marines doing? So definitely that will be staying off the record, but definitely like the recruit shitting in a Foot Locker. Uh,
Yeah.
that one like takes the cake. Like why did you decide to do that? Like this recruit doesn't know how to do
Yeah.
laundry. Doesn't know where the laundry room is. I showed you the first day. How do you not know? So
All right, all right. Let's reel it back in a little bit. We're gonna close out with legacy. If your children were to watch this episode years from now, what's one message that you would want for them to hear or to get out of this episode?
live your life. Live your life to the fullest. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes will help you grow. Um, I'm a man full of mistakes. It's helped me grow. All right. Your past does not define your future. Like my parents'
Absolutely.
death did not define what my future was. All the hardships that happened to me, it does not define of who I am, right? And I want them to be able to either look at this episode, right? Or anybody that's looking at this episode, either you got an NJP, you gone through some hardship, your girlfriend has broken up with you, anything, right? That does not define of who you are, and you might feel like the biggest loser right now. That does not define your tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Like today, you live what today is and live present with what today is and cherish what today is. Regardless if you're grieving it, if you're having a moment of happiness, because guess what? Come the following day, this day is already gone, right? And it will
Yeah.
be a moment of your past. Now, what you do with that
Absolutely.
past, if you go with it, that's on you, right? So make good, sound
Absolutely.
decisions of what you want to be and what the legacy you want to leave behind.
Absolutely. What kind of man do you hope people remember you as when you're gone?
I really don't know.
I know that's a little deep, but
I don't know, man. I just maybe it's just someone that cared, man. Just someone that cared and was out here and kept it real. That like cared about people, uh, and try to do everything the best of my capabilities.
yeah. If you could sit down with your 18-year-old self for just a couple minutes, what would you tell yourself?
Buckle up. Just buckle up. It's about to get really, really wild. Like
Yeah.
whatever you experienced in the first half, get ready. And that
Absolutely.
lady that you'll meet in a couple of years, cherish her, right? And try to avoid that whatever hit line. Just don't even waste your time talking to that other chick. Just go straight to her.
What's what is one thing that you hope everyone takes away from today's conversation?
Uh, One thing that I hope that everybody takes away is don't be afraid of making mistakes, right? Don't be afraid of that. Uh, Grieve. You should definitely feel grief. Don't shove grief. Embrace it, right? It is part of you. It's going to help you grow. And number three is if you are in these mental health spaces, be cautious. Do it for the right reasons. Don't do it because it's a fad, it's a trend. Do it for the right
Yeah.
reasons because there are people that will show up to your doorstep. And be ready to handle
Absolutely.
that because it's if you're not ready, man, like I and I've seen it from other people that they were not ready and It's rough. It's really rough.
Absolutely. Where can everyone who's watching today find and follow Jonas the Mad Hatter online?
You can find me on just the same way as written, Jonas The Mad Hatter. You can find me on the TikToks. I also have another account, which is Jonas Cruz. That's a more personal. That's one where you're going to watch me do dishes in the evening after my wife does this fabulous cooking that she's doing right now. As well as you can check us out in Revenant Warriors if you're looking for a tribe, if you're a veteran or active duty, if you're trying to find somewhere where to belong to. There's always Revenant Warriors. They're all across the states, so just go to their website, check where there's a hike, join a hike, talk to people, because you'll be amazed how many people are there that are possibly going through the same situation, either rough transition, grieving. There's so many people there, man. There's so many people there that are just like you, man. Find your tribe.
Absolutely. And lastly, before we wrap up, is there anything that we did not talk about today that you'd like to talk about?
Man, I don't know. That's a lot of questions. There's so much stuff to talk about. There's so much. I don't know, man. There's so much, but so little time, and time is so precious.
I got you. Well, Jonas, brother, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Seriously, thank you for taking the time to be here and for being willing to have an honest conversation. I know some of the things that we talked about today aren't always easy to discuss publicly, and I really appreciate your openness, man. I think one of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation is that no matter what title you hold, whether it be Marine, husband, father, leader, we're all human. We all face struggles. We all experience loss. We all have moments where life tests us, but those moments don't have to define us. They can shape us into stronger, wiser people if we're just willing to learn from them. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or gave you a new perspective, I'd ask you to do 3 simple things. First, subscribe to the podcast wherever you're watching or listening. Second, leave us a review. It really does help more people discover the show. And finally, share this episode with someone you think needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep up with Jonas, be sure to follow him on his social media platforms under @Jonas the Mad Hatter and show him some love. If you're interested in sharing your own story on the Simply Put podcast with Kaz, I'd love to hear from you. There's a guest application linked to my social media bio, and we're always looking for authentic people with meaningful stories to share. Thank you again for spending part of your day with us. I don't take your time for granted, and I truly appreciate every single one of you who tunes in this week. Until next time, remember this: everyone has a story, everyone matters, and sometimes the simplest conversations leave the biggest impact. Once again, Jonas, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast. Guys, I'm Kaz, and this has been the Simply Put podcast with Kaz. We'll see you in the next episode. God bless, and take care.
Yeah, let's get it. Got the crate digger soul, got the sample in the loop. Dropping heavy truth for the whole entire troop. Some folks make it complex, a theological maze. We just cut through the fog in the modern day haze. On Simply Put, we make the crooked path straight so everybody eats. Pull a seat up to the plate. It's the podcast with Kaz, you can press that play. Yeah, Simply Put with Kaz, lighten up your day.